right, I want to welcome everybody today. This is the first ever, the official kickoff of the SoundQ Garage podcast. So what separates this podcast from the others is this one is going to be a little more technical, where we talk about sound quality, car audio, with a heavy lean towards the do-it-yourselfer. So the sort of like the advanced do-it-yourselfer. Today we have Ryan Cotrone. I hope I didn't butcher your last name, Ryan. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Okay, so some of you people might know him as Truth Hunter at DIYMA, and that's the do-it-yourself mobile audio forum. I met Ryan back in 2020 during the height of COVID at a DIYMA get-together. He's helped me countless times with Dirac and troubleshooting the Mini DSP. I know he's a patient man. I bombarded him with questions myself. I know he's helped countless others too, as he's known as the Dirac Whisperer. He's just an overall good guy. So, Ryan, why don't you introduce yourself to the people out there?
Yeah, so my name is Ryan. I live in Hudson Valley, New York. I got into car audio, like most of us, when I was in my late teens. And I didn't have any money to buy anything, but I was really into, I had all the manufacturers' brochures that I, got the mail order from, car audio magazines where you would send in that you wanted more information from different manufacturers. And I would sit in my bedroom and just study those things. I'd read all the magazines. I'd drool over SoundStream amplifiers. This was back in the late 90s. So I kind of lived in New York and Ohio because my parents were separated at the time. And when I was in Ohio, there was a shop in the town that I was hanging out in. One of the customers at that shop was Larry Chisner.
Oh, okay.
And he had his red Eldorado at the time. I was younger than him, and he probably saw me as a little brat kid. But one day in the Kroger parking lot,
snapper over here.
One day in the Kroger parking lot, he let me listen to his Eldorado, and I'd never heard anything like that. I was completely blown away. I think he had a full ODR set up in that thing with horns and stuff like that. And so that really got me interested in sound quality. And funny thing is, most people start off with putting a sub in their car, and I never even had a sub in my car until I actually built this car.
Yeah, so, like 99% of people, you ask them when they get interviewed, they're like, I wanted more bass.
Right. And that's not what impressed me about Larry's car, because it was so well integrated that you really couldn't pick out the subwoofer smacking you. It was the quality of the sound.
Yep.
So at the time I had a 92 Honda Accord, I think, and I put a Alpine tape deck in it with a CD changer, and I had Boston Acoustic Pro two-way in the front end, and I didn't have anything in the rear, and powered the speakers through the head unit, and I used the head unit's EQ to adjust stuff by ear, and it sounded great to me at the time.
So how'd you fund your hobby, your passion at that point? I mean, you were a young guy. What were you doing? So
I was working full time. So I did have a little bit of money to buy a head unit and a good component set at the time. But that's all I could afford. I couldn't afford amps or any, at the time I wanted like EQTs and stuff like that. I could never afford any of that. So, but then, I was in my early 20s. I got my first real job. Started having lots of girlfriends here and there, and the car audio just kind of took a back seat for many years until about 2015.
Okay.
I got my current car, and around 2016, after I had the car for about a year, I thought, you know what? All those things that I wanted to do back when I was in my early 20s and never got a chance to, I want to go with that now. And at the time, I had a classic Honda motorcycle that I sold to help me fund my current car audio system.
Tell everybody what your current car is.
So it's a 2015 Toyota Camry XLE. It had it didn't have the JBL, but it had the premium system right below the JBL in it.
Now, did you pick that car based on your audio plan? Like, did you look at the car, or did you look at the car and say, I like this car because it's got a lot of room, good looking car, like the typical car buyer? Or did you look at it like an audio enthusiast and say, what can I stuff in here?
Yeah. So really the only thing audio wise that helped me with the decision was I knew I could replace the head unit.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a big thing for me at the time. I wanted to be able to replace the head unit if I needed to.
Yeah.
Other than that, I was looking at Accords. I was looking at the Subaru Legacy, and I got the best deal on the Toyota. So it ended up because I was just able to get such a great deal on it compared to the other two.
Yeah, it sounds like we got similar taste.
Yeah. Other than that, at the time, there was nothing you could do with the Subaru head unit. No one made a kit for it. Same with the Accord. You know, that generation Accord. At the time, you were just stuck with the factory head unit. So, but the Camry, they did have Metra had a dash kit, and you could put a double din if you wanted at the time.
Yeah, it's ironic that the car companies, you know, of course they don't give a hoot about the audio enthusiasts or the aftermarket for people that wanted to upgrade their cars and stuff like that. Because back in the day, before those cars came out, like let's say, you know, it was a 2000, but by 1998, 1999, the car companies would let Metra get in there and do all their measurements and whatnot. And Metra would have a kit for that before the car was even out. You know, that was the good old days, like we say. But it's funny that the car companies went that route where they made it basically those type of things obsolete. And the aftermarket companies had to get creative with their kits.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So you got a 2015 Toyota Camry. What did you start off with? Like what led you? What type of research did you do to?
I just thought, you know, I'm going to get some new speakers and put a new head unit in. I started researching what would fit in there. I opened up the door. I was amazed to see that you could just fit an enormous mid bass in there if you wanted.
Yeah, you could fit an 8-inch, right?
Yeah. So I found out from reading on the forums and stuff, I saw the JL ZR800 was very highly regarded. They were selling them on eBay brand new for $300 for a pair at the time.
Oh,
so
wow.
I picked up a set of those. That was actually the first piece of equipment that I bought for the car.
That's dirt cheap for even back then.
Yeah.
That's for 8-inch. That's dirt cheap.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the best 8-inch drivers around too.
They had multiple listings on eBay for that price at the time. I think it was basically JL was getting ready to, you know, obsolete those. So they were getting rid of inventory.
I bought a JL subwoofer one time. I know you heard Garmin bought out JL, right? So that's recent news. But back in the day, JL was regulated with who they sold their inventory to. So when you bought in, you had to buy like at least $60,000 worth of inventory. They just didn't sell to anybody. So on top of that, they held strong on selling their equipment at MSRP. So a lot of the dealers would turn around and sell the stuff on eBay, but they would cut out the serial number on the box. So I remember I got a subwoofer one time like that, and you know, I don't know if it fell out of a van. I hope not, you know, because that's not the type of person I am. That's not how I roll. But I got the popular subwoofer back then. What was it? The 12W7 or the 13W6, whatever it was called, the big boy.
Again, it's funny because I knew JL was very popular for their subwoofers, highly regarded.
Yep.
But like, I was never, that whole subwoofer thing never was appealing to me.
You weren't a bass head, is what you're saying.
I was never a bass head, right? Yeah. I mean, I like songs with bass and it's impressive sounding and everything, but daily listening, I don't listen to that stuff. So
you had SoundQ taste right off the rip, but you know the songs, the fundamental of music, it does get that low. So whether or not you're a bass head, a subwoofer is a necessary evil, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's definitely for SoundQ. You need to have those low frequencies in there. But you know, the design of the subwoofer made for SQ compared to a bass head type sound, I think is different. You know.
Yeah. So when you say SoundQ subwoofer, give me an example of a SoundQ subwoofer. What type of, what do you look for in a SoundQ subwoofer? What do you think makes a good SoundQ subwoofer?
I don't know. There's lots of things. I'll just say that when I was younger, in my 20s, and I was researching all this stuff and reading all the magazines, that Infinite Baffle really intrigued me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an experience in a mid-90s Lexus GS that had the Nakamichi system with a free air 10-inch subwoofer in the rear deck.
Yeah.
I think it was a 10, maybe it was an 8. I never heard anything like that. Like, it just blew my mind how clean it sounded. So that's why Infinite Baffle at the time, and Kicker made the IB series stuff. So that was like what I thought I was want to get into at some point. But by the time, it rolled around when I could, that stuff was long gone. And doing my research, I found out that Acoustic Elegance was the go-to subwoofer for Infinite Baffle and sound quality. So that was the subwoofer I chose for my car. In 2017, 2018, I think I bought it.
Yep.
Again, back then, this is only 7 years ago, 8 years ago. I paid $240 for that thing directly from AE, and it only took like 4 weeks to get. And totally different story today,
That's because they blew up, sort of. Everybody got word spread how good of a subwoofers they make. So now a lot of people want those subwoofers,
And out of all the changes that I've made to this system, I've never even considered changing that. It's been in the car ever since it went in. I'm not a speaker driver designer or anything like that,
mm-hmm.
but and I've only owned really one subwoofer that I've actually used in a car my entire life. Probably not a good guy to tell you what I think a SoundQ subwoofer or what to look for a SoundQ subwoofer. There's a lot of stuff you could read on the forums or Facebook or whatever. People's opinions, or even people who design speakers are on there, will give you their
things could get heated because everybody's got a different opinion on what they look for in a speaker. But the way I look at it, if you put that subwoofer back there, Infinite Baffle, you like you said, you heard a car with Infinite Baffle. So if
you know what it is,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what I really like about it is just got an effortless sound. Like
mm-hmm.
It doesn't sound forced like a bass head car,
Yeah.
It just sounds musical. It doesn't sound forced. It just sounds natural, like, string bass and cello, stuff like that. It sounds real to me.
Once you go Infinite Baffle, you don't go back. I've heard that many times.
Yeah. Well, I know people who have that opinion. I also know people who have gone Infinite Baffle and then said they like a sealed system better. So it all depends on who you talk to and what their opinion is and their experience,
And to make the Infinite Baffle work, like in a car, that has to be sealed. Everything has to be sealed really well back there, right?
That's what it seems to be if you read on the internet and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're a bass head and you like the bass head sound, then I think sealing everything up as much as you can helps with that. My rear deck is not completely sealed. I actually left all of the vents along the rear windshield open that are meant to equalize the pressure in the car.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want my HVAC system to, struggle, or I didn't want my ears popping when I'm closing doors. So I left all of those open. There's probably, 6 or 8 of them back there, 2 inches long by 3/8 inch wide slots. And I left all those open, but I sealed everything else up. And I sealed everything around the baffle really well. It depends. Infinite Baffle can work. And whether you seal everything up or not is really, I think, what you're after. If you like bass head music and you're after the most bass,
mm-hmm.
then I think that would probably be best. But I have no issue getting the amount of volume that I need out of and the bandwidth that I need out of my 15 that I use, and without sealing it up hermetically,
So for people who don't follow Ryan on Dyma or on Facebook or are personal friends with him, like I said, I've known Ryan for about 5 or 6 years, since 2020, and I follow his build log. And just one of the things that you did, you also fabricated a ski hole, right? Because your car didn't originally come with a ski hole.
Yes, I did. I always felt like in the back of my head for an Infinite Baffle, and to get the most accurate sound, is the driver needs to be directly coupled to the listening space. And with the seats folded up, that's not the case. There's an impedance there that you're adding with those seats. The bass can get through it, yes. RTA, you can see that it's getting through. You're getting those frequencies. But how clean is it? What's the impulse response look like? So I actually did a few tests with the seat backs up, half the seat back down, both seat backs down, and even on RTA, you could see there's more output with the seat backs now, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But I also listen to music, and I could tell with the seat backs down, it sounded more natural to me. So instead of driving around with my seat backs down all the time, which I did probably for a year or two,
yeah,
when I first installed that woofer,
yep,
I decided to make a hole in my armrest and have a free flowing access to that woofer cone, so it's not impeded by the seat as much.
Yeah.
And after I did that, I did all those tests again. And if you go look on my build log, I posted that information on there, the RTA graphs of those different configurations. And basically, with the hole in the armrest, it's very close to having both seat backs down.
Wow, it made that much of a difference, huh?
Yeah, as soon as you close that armrest up, you're losing like 3 or 4 dB.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing.
Yep,
that's like doubling your power, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
So
and again, it's not just an output. It's, to my ears, listening to music, you're getting more texture with the bass. It sounds more natural.
Yeah.
Than
you just took the words out of my mouth. That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like putting like a something in front of your mouth when you're talking. If you put your hands in front of your mouth, see, it's going to change the tonality.
That's right.
And the output. I mean, so it's a given. But yeah, that's a good, pretty much. I know that, you had to do the labor and whatnot, but that's almost like a free upgrade if you're willing to put in the time and the effort to do that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, I learned as I went. As I was going through this build and listening to stuff, and I attended some get-togethers and stuff.
Yep.
The first get-together that I went to was in 2017. Ian Fisher's get-together in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I met Ian and Jason and a bunch of other guys, and they helped me out so much to really bring me up to speed on everything. But so I learned as I went incrementally. I didn't just want, all right, let me stick a system in the car and I'm happy. Yeah. I have a technical mind. I'm an engineer by trade. It interests me to push the limits, keep incrementally improving things, and trying new things out to see if it helps or not.
Yeah. So what I was saying before was, it's ironic that you made the ski hole, because on previous models or previous years, the ski hole was already there. Like and remember earlier how I said you and I have similar taste in cars, because I've owned the Subi, I owned a Camry, and I owned an Accord, and the older models had the ski hole. So they take things away on newer models, and it's like to save $1. It's like, no, leave this in there. I wanted that in there.
Yeah, I think probably their marketing department realized that wasn't a real big selling point, so they could save themselves however many dollars they could save themselves by removing that, and it wouldn't really affect their bottom line of sales.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I mean, how many people open the ski hole to stick skis through it?
How many people put gloves in the glove box?
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, if they can save $1, think about it. They make, I don't know how many million, 30 million cars, per year. If they make 30 million, they're saving $40 million, probably triple that with all the, the labor and the parts. And
exactly.
Whatnot.
Yeah. So, let's say that E-Pass costs them an extra $10.
Yeah.
And the prices of the cars haven't come down. They've gone up. So, it's compounded. They're saving a lot they're making a lot more money by not including that stuff.
Your first intro to sound quality was Larry's car, and then you kind of got out of it. You weren't, so you were an enthusiast, but you put it on the back burner. And then when you got your car, the Camry, you said, I'm going to make this a SoundQ system, correct?
Yeah. Like there wasn't even a thing where I was thinking like, oh, what kind of system do I want? I knew that I just wanted a system that was as accurate as possible. I installed those ZR800s in the doors. Initially, I had a Morel Virtus 4-inch component set that I installed on the in the dash, and I just basically double-sided taped the tweeters to the pillars at the time. And I replaced that head unit with an Alpine. And that was interesting because, you know, I was looking at the double din kits, and my car has a really large space in the dash for the radio.
Yeah.
And a standard double din just didn't look right. So I saw that Alpine made an 8-inch screen, and that for the 2012 to 2014 Camrys, they had Alpine made a kit to fit that 8-inch screen in your dash, and it looked excellent.
Yeah, I remember that Alpine looked really nice in your car.
But they didn't make the kit for the 2015 and up when they, you know, had their little update on the car.
Oh, okay. So how'd you get it to fit?
So I just took a standard Metra double din kit and a Dremel tool and whatever else I could find in my garage and cut it out.
There you go.
To fit the 8-inch screen. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So why'd you get rid of the Alpine? The Alpine was really really nice looking unit.
So that was an Alpine. It was probably sold in, I don't know, 12, 13, 14, 15. And the reason I changed from that was because, first off, it did not play lossless music from a USB.
Okay.
It did have a CD player, so that was basically the best sound you could get was through a CD player, but you had to play a CD.
It didn't have optical out?
It did have optical out, but again, you couldn't play lossless music unless it was a CD. And in order to use the optical out, you lost volume control.
Oh, okay.
And a bunch of other things on that head unit. Yeah. This is the Alpine. So the 957 was the double din unit, and the X008U was the 8-inch version. Same guts, just different screen. So they had their also, you couldn't just use a standard Toslink cable. They had their own proprietary cable that cost over $100 just for the cable.
Really?
And then again, you lost volume control from the head unit because it was made specifically to be used with their DSP system.
Of course.
Where the volume was controlled through that, you know, where there was a data communication between the head unit and the DSP to control the volume.
So here's a fun fact. When I was installing way back in the day, many moons ago, Alpine made all the radios for Honda and Acura. So remember when the CD changes were all the rave? So basically, if you wanted a CD changer, you had to go through the Honda dealer, which they would basically charge you up the wazoo for it. But a lot of people didn't know. All you had to do was go to your local car audio shop, purchase an Alpine CD changer, and it would be compatible with your factory Honda cassette deck that you controlled from the front. Oh, that was awesome. that was next level. When you bought a CD changer, you had 6 or 8 CDs, and you know that was just it was awesome.
And then they just started putting the CD changer right in the dash. So there was no external CD changer.
It's always been a cat and mouse type game. The OEM manufacturers have been clipping the wings of the aftermarket manufacturers, and I think that might be one of the reasons why they made those. Back in the day, it used to be a standard din size, which was 2.5 by 7 or something like that. And double din would be 4-inch by 7. So you know, every manufacturer, was an unwritten rule that they did that standard din deck. Not really sure what year they started to just say, you know what, we're going to put triangular shapes in here and screw you guys.
It
was about the 2000s.
I think it was in the 90s, actually. I remember like the 90s Ford Tauruses had like everything was oval.
Oh, yeah.
Everything on the car was oval, even the radio.
I think that was their design theme, because even the headlights were oval, and it was just an ovalish car all around.
Yep.
But, you know, the aftermarket companies would get pretty creative, too, because they would make some pretty creative kits to make the radios fit in there regardless. You know, so there's a will, there's a way, you know?
Well,
so
where there's money, there's a way.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
It's all about the money.
So at this point, so you're putting your car together. I'm going to assume that you're looking at DSPs. Like I said earlier in the show, you're known to some people in some circles as the Dirac Whisperer. At what point did you start looking at the Mini DSP with the Dirac version in your SoundQ journey?
I'll tell yeah. Let's see. 2017, I did not have a DSP. I was just using the equalizer and delay functions in the Alpine head unit. Mm-hmm. And 2018, I had gone to some meets. I went to a meet up here. You know, I knew DSPs existed. I didn't understand them 100%. Yeah. I understood like equalizers, and I understood delay and what that was for, and I understood crossovers. Yeah. You know, an external DSP was kind of like, I don't know, I was a little, just didn't understand it or was comfortable with it. So I actually learned how to use REW so that I could properly adjust the DSP built into the Alpine head unit first. Yeah. And it made a tremendous difference, just what I could do with that. And so I was thinking about a DSP, and I was reading about all the different brands, and I knew Mini DSP existed. I didn't, at the time, Dirac wasn't a thing. I haven't even heard of Dirac yet. Yeah. So I was at a meetup here in Pennsylvania. There was a guy that had the Mini DSP that he had bought, and this was the standard 8x12 V1 when they first came out. Yep. Everybody knows they had a floor noise issue. Mm-hmm. The guy was not happy with it, and at the meet, he was having it swapped out with a Helix. Okay. And the thing was still, you know, he had just installed it months before. Yep. So I asked him, I says, well, are you going to return this, or what are you going to do with this? He said, I'll probably just sell it. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, well, let me, I says,
I'll take it.
Yeah. So basically I ended up buying it from him at that meet, for $280. Oh my God. And,
this is funny.
So it was the V1, you know, so he sold it to me. He didn't have like the packaging and stuff, but he sent that to me later in the mail. And so I started using that. I think it was at least a year later. You know, there was a floor noise. You can kind of manipulate it so that it wasn't as noticeable, but it was there. You weren't getting rid of it.
What was it? Something to do with the grounding, or because I know in the Mini DSP there's like 3 settings.
Yeah, well, now there is. At the time, there wasn't.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think it was just whatever the design and the components they used inside. I don't know. And they came out and said, you know, we understand there's a floor noise issue. We want to make it right. So if you send us your serial number and your receipt, or your receipt number and the serial number of the unit, we will send you a new DSP board.
Wow.
Free of charge. Didn't even have to pay for shipping.
And
I got that original. Yeah. So I got that original order number from the guy I bought it from. Wow. And I sent it over, and I don't know, a couple weeks later, they sent me a brand new DSP board. So basically my DSP is the original chassis from the V1, which is the same as the V2. Mm-hmm. And it was just the board itself. And I opened it up, I took a couple screws out and put the new board in, and that's the DSP I've been running ever since 2018.
Wow. That's incredible. Not a lot of companies stand behind their products like that these days.
Yeah. That had awesome. To cost them a lot.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, well, if people took advantage of the offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So then in 2019, I started seeing Dirac mentioned on the forums by a couple of people. Mm-hmm. I had no idea what it was or how to use it. So I read as much as I could. And then they were using Dirac with like home audio Mini DSP's processors. And then 2019, Mini DSP decided to offer Dirac Live on the 8x12. And you could actually just pay an upgrade, and they would send you the firmware revision so that it would work with Dirac Live. Yep. And that's how I ended up with the Mini DSP with Dirac Live. So it ended up being the original V1, then a V2, and then upgraded firmware for Dirac Live. That was 2019, and you know, I've never felt the need to replace it since then. I've always been very happy with the results. With my application, it doesn't need any, factory integration or anything like that, which, there's other DSPs out there that offer so much more on that end.
Of course.
Obviously Helix being one of the kings of that.
Yeah. Helix is one of the big boys right now in that. We could pretty much say Helix dominates that market at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. And if I needed a DSP and I had my application required integration, I would definitely probably have a Helix in there.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd put a 2-channel Dirac box in front of it. I'm not sure, or behind it, or I'd figure out a way to implement it, because I really like that signature sound that Dirac did.
So you've won countless competitions. I've never seen your car take less than third place. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, I've done pretty good in competitions. Not always in the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but I've been happy with the results. It's not just because of the DSP. There's so many other factors involved.
Oh, of course. There's a lot that goes into.
Yeah. So I don't want people to think, you can win competitions if you get Dirac, because that's not true.
No, I think the audience that we're targeting knows there's a lot more work into treating the car, experimenting with angles, experimenting with drivers, and changing out drivers, going back to old drivers. Yeah. This is a crazy, wild hobby.
And the biggest thing, I think, is the natural acoustics of the car.
Yes. Yes.
And where you could easily fit drivers, and if they work out well, and what the nulls and the peaks are at your listening position. And I think part of the reason why my car's done so well in competition is it's just got great acoustics.
Yes.
Great cabin acoustics from the get-go.
Yep. Yeah.
So
a lot of people I don't think many people, how we were talking about this a little while ago, that they don't take the car purchase into consideration, that type of thing. I think the hardcore people who have been in it now, like, they did their car, they planned their next purchase with that in mind, because I know I have.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I work in the car market, and when I get in a car, I'm like, oh, wow, this would make, the windshield is further back, and look at this. There's no middle console, and I'm like, most people are like, oh, what kind of miles per gallon does this car get? We're over here looking at speaker locations. Like, I don't know. There's something wrong with us.
That plus there's, if you're following car audio and you're on the forums and on Facebook or whatever, and you're following competition, you get to know which cars people talk about being really good, and people saying that have good acoustics.
Yep.
That's not how I got into the Camry. The only reason I chose that, again, was the price, and I could change the head unit. Yeah. I didn't know at all, I didn't know much about cabin acoustics at all back then.
Yeah.
But now when those questions come up on Facebook or the forum, if you were going to buy a new car, which one would it be? The Camry's always mentioned there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's become known as a good car for natural cabin acoustics. Yeah. Right from the get-go. So,
yeah, I would say the Camry and the Avalon would make a good platform.
Yeah, and they're so similar. I mean, you got the same speaker locations. You got large openings in the door for mid-bass, if that's what you want to do. Yeah, and the newer Camrys have the nice JBL A-pillars that you can just buy for fairly inexpensive right from the dealer, that you can fit a tweeter on. So yeah, it's an easy platform to work with.
Yeah.
If you're okay with owning a vanilla Camry,
Well, I don't think it's vanilla, but some people might. But I've gone into Camrys, and I've been pretty, even if I wasn't into sound quality, or I think they're pretty, like the TRD Camry and the TRD Avalon look pretty cool looking. They're not gonna win any quarter mile races versus the hardcore muscle cars, but they do look pretty sporty, and they look pretty nice to me, at least to my eyes.
Yeah. The only thing is, the interior, the quality of the materials in the interior just aren't the same as if you were to get an Audi or a BMW or, whatever other brand. So you're still driving a Camry, and the quality of the materials, aren't going to be as great as some other vehicles.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to say where I work, but I work in the car business, and I see different cars every day. Like literally I see, BMW, Mercedes, Tesla, Honda, Toyota, you name it, Lexus. Yeah, the luxury brands do have a little bit of nicer interiors, but believe it or not, it's not I guess if we were to take a bottom of the line like Honda Civic or Toyota Corolla versus, a Mercedes CLK or whatever, yeah, there's a stark difference. But if you have like a Honda Accord, Toyota Camry, or, like a mid-sized sedan, believe it or not, the German manufacturers, the European cars, they're not that much higher in quality. And I don't know if this is a current thing, but I will say this: one of the cars that I'm surprised in quality. Now, I'm not giving it, a thumbs up or anything like that, but the Mazdas have really quality interiors. Yeah, I don't know how reliable the car is, but the interiors are like the cars of the 90s. I've noticed as of recently, like 2017 and up, almost all the manufacturers are kind of trimming the fat and cutting pennies here and there on things that they can get away with, and giving you thinner carpet and less sound deadening material in the car, and whatever they could get away with to save a to save a nickel, they're gonna do it.
But so, yeah, I would agree with the Mazda. They're really impressive. I've sat in a few of them.
Yeah, and I've noticed that the interior is really nice.
If I was looking for a new vehicle and it was going to be an SUV, I would definitely, Mazda would be at the top of my list.
Mm-hmm. How does Dirac help with the tune in a car environment? Can you tell people? I know most people, the first DSP that they look at, because, a lot of people, there's a lot of forum boners and a lot of people, I don't want to call them sheep, but a lot of people do follow what, the latest, greatest internet sensation guy is using and what this guy. So I think the market with the Helix is kind of pushed along by those guys, and favored in that way. But Mini DSP is nothing to sneeze at with the Dirac version. Can you tell people how Dirac helps?
Anybody can go look up on their website and read about Dirac Live and, what the premise behind it and what it can do. I think there's a lot of misinformation online about Dirac. People just call it auto-tune, which it kind of is, but it does more than that. Like, it does your EQ, it does your delay. If you set it up, there's multiple ways you could set it up. There's not just one way. Yeah. There's multiple ways you can get good results with it, just like there's multiple ways to use another DSP, whatever. But Dirac is more than just doing your EQ, your delays. You still have to choose your crossovers. You still have to have knowledge of tuning terms and all that stuff. And I think to get the best out of Dirac Live, you still have to have most of the understanding you would need to manually tune.
So you need a basic understanding of DSPs.
Yes, definitely.
Yep.
For a new person, we came up with that guide, and you can get great results with that. If you got good measurements and your install is solid, you can get really good results with that.
So for people that don't know, the guide that Ryan is talking about is the Dirac guide. You can find that on Facebook, or you can find it on the Do-It-Yourself Mobile Audio forum also.
A few of us kind of inputted on that, and our friend Anu put it all together and published it.
Yeah, and it's a really good guide for those of you out there that are thinking of getting, the Mini DSP.
I think it's called the Dirac Quick Tune Guide or something like that.
That's right. Yeah,
and that's exactly what it's for. It's just a quick way to get a really decent tune in your car.
Yeah.
If you're, are not knowledgeable and you just want to get it and get something to listen to quickly. I don't think there's ways to use Dirac and other things you could do with the DSP that you can make a lot of improvements beyond that. Again, it's a quick guide just to give you a quick tune, to give you really good results quickly.
So I know that Mini DSP doesn't have as many features as the Helix. If you can tug on the engineering, on the dev team for Mini DSP, what kind of things do you wish they would add on to the next Mini DSP if they make one, like the version 3?
Yeah, man. I hope they're working on something that they don't give any inklings of anything when you try to talk to them.
Yeah.
They're very tight-lipped. There's a few things that I would like to see that could make a tremendous improvement. First of all, when you upgrade the 8x12 to a Dirac Live, you lose input EQ. That in itself would open up the Dirac thing to a lot more audience if you could have that input EQ, because that would give you at least some sort of that would give you more integration type thing. Like the V2, you have input EQ on each input, so you could integrate with a factory system with that. Now, depending on the factory system and how much wattage is, that's another discussion. I'm just talking about the input EQ.
Yeah.
So the one thing, and I've messaged them about this, input EQ, because when Dirac does its thing and you want to make some adjustments, and you can make it in a target curve in Dirac, but also a quick way to do it is if you had an EQ on the source end, like either an input EQ. I use the EQ in my head unit. Yeah. To make some live as you go adjustments and see how it sounds. Because then you could take those changes and you can redo the Dirac curve to implement those changes. So input EQ is probably the biggest thing. Yeah. And I wish there was more presets. I mean, I probably would never have a need for more than 4, but I know other people would. There shouldn't be any reason why they can't offer more presets.
It would be nice. The 4, and I kind of stick to the same preset, but I could see, I wouldn't mind having a couple more. I wouldn't complain. Yeah, that's for sure.
And there's some features that Helix, is trailblazing with. Like I don't know what they call it. Their name for it, but basically dynamic loudness control. Turn up the volume, the bass and treble go down. You lower the volume, the bass and the treble come up.
Yeah. And you can actually,
stuff like that.
You can actually have like 3 different EQ curves. It's not just choosing one. You can actually have multiple, curves for that.
The other thing is, so it only has 8 channels of Dirac processing, even though it has 12 channels of output.
Yep.
So a lot of people are turned off because they want to do rear fill. And if they're doing the multi-channel setup, there's no real way to do rear fill unless you combine and pre-tune some drivers together into a single Dirac channel. And then you would have the extra Dirac channels to do rear fill. And the other thing is you have to go through it in the routing of the DSP. It has to get routed through Dirac. Somehow it's got to get routed through one of those 8 channels to get to the outputs. Mm-hmm. So I wish they would make it so you could have your 8 channels of Dirac and then just have a straight pass through for additional channels, the other 4 additional channels.
Yeah.
If you needed to for some reason, whatever application.
So I do know that with the Helix, it's expandable also. You have, I think they call them the HEC card or something, and you can get in there and add things like Bluetooth and add other things.
Absolutely.
That would have been nice with the Mini DSP if they had some sort of slot on the side to add. Because the Mini DSP doesn't have Bluetooth either.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. I think they might sell a Bluetooth module, but it doesn't work with the 8x12.
Yeah.
There's lots of features. If you go on to they have like a little support forum on their website.
Yeah.
And you could read everybody's recommendations to them. It's all the same stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, the wish list that people have, right?
Yeah. The wish list. Yep. The other thing is, Mini DSP came out with a new user interface for just about all of their DSPs, except it was never made for the 8x12, and probably because the hardware on the 8x12 is kind of dated now. Mm-hmm. So maybe that new user interface plugin, they call it, they just can't do it. It would be nice if their user interface was more modern feeling.
So the 8x12 came out, the version 1 came out in about what? 2017? What'd you say?
2016, 2017, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they came out with the version 2 because of the noise issue, like 2018.
Yeah. The version 2 came out 2018. Yep.
Okay. So do you know from version 1 to version 2, the only improvement was them isolating the noise, or did they put better? I thought they put better, a DAC chip in there.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the main purpose was to reduce that noise, but I'm pretty sure in order to do that, they chose some better components. Not only the design of it, the circuit design, but also the components themselves were improved.
Yep.
I don't know the specifics about any of that, but
I thought I read that they had put better DAC in there, that the new DAC that was in there was a little bit better than the DAC. I could be wrong because I thought I read that a long time ago. And this isn't to off-put anybody or anything like that. The Mini DSP 8x12 with Dirac is a powerful little machine. Ryan has proven it. He's won, I don't know how many first place, second place, third place finishes. He gets a lot of compliments on his car. A lot of people love the way his car sounds. And he's also teed off a lot of people with how good his car sounds because they have tons of money and all kinds of famous tuners tuning their cars. And here comes Ryan with his simple car and his simple Mini DSP setup, and he blows them out of the water. Sometimes keeping it simple is the best way, believe it or not, But do you have any aha moments for people out there that in this hobby, getting started with this hobby, or maybe even, are have been in this hobby for a long time, and that aha moment just hasn't clicked for them yet? What do you have any aha moments that you were like, oh, something that may have not mattered as much as you thought, or something that that took your car to the next level, or your experience with SoundQ to the next level?
So I guess one of those things is I feel like when people go on there and they don't know much and they start reading the forums or Facebook and people are posting their RTA graphs and everything, people start believing that in order to get good sound, you need to have the smoothest RTA you can possibly get.
Yeah.
And I went through that phase, chasing, sweating in my car for hours, doing EQ work to get it as nice looking as I could, and was so disappointed with the sound.
Oh yeah.
It's not about that. I mean, it's just a tool to use. If you look at these cars that sound really good, and I'm not going to say cars that win competitions because not all the cars that win competitions sound that great to me.
They just tick a lot of boxes that get them the points.
But if you if you measure a really good sounding system, it's not gonna be a perfectly smooth RTA curve. So and you think there's people read this stuff and they think, well, if my RTA curve looks exactly like this other car that sounds so good, then my car is going to sound exactly like that.
Yeah.
And that's completely false because RTA does not take into consideration resonances. It doesn't take into consideration the time factor, the decay of the sound and all that stuff.
Yeah.
For all those new people out there learning about DSPs and RTA, don't waste your time chasing that. We've all done it. We've all been there, and we've learned. And we're telling you guys now, it'll save you some time if you don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't get stuck in that rut. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all get in that funk where you're like, why isn't this sounding good? And I'm doing everything, and it's coming up with that correct RTA, and you're like, what's going on here? Something's not jiving right. And then eventually it just clicks where you're like, okay, this is what I got to do, because I've gotten in cars that, people have said, oh man, you got to hear that car. You got to hear that car at the get-togethers. I'm too nice of a guy, and I don't tell people, I think your car sounds lifeless, or I think your car is too bright or too much bass. I just tell them it sounds good, because if they like it, I'm happy for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, and they might like that. They might like, some people have, it's just like your tongue. If I make a steak and I make it medium well or medium rare, you might not like it rare. You might like it medium well. I like it rare. It's the same steak, but it's going to be cooked differently, seasoned differently. And you're going to like it your way. I'm going to like it my way. So I tell a lot of people, make the car for you. Don't make the car to impress some stranger that you're never going to meet again, or you don't even know. And this guy's going to criticize your car or judge your car, when if it sounds good to you, it sounds good to you. I think beauty is obviously in the eye of the beholder is true when it comes to sound as well. So some people like a lot of bass. Some people don't like a lot of bass. Some people like a lot of mids or treble, whatever suits your fancy. Make the car so that it makes you happy. You're gonna invest all that money. You're gonna invest all that time and sometimes frustration and, maybe a couple busted knuckles. Make it so that you enjoy it and that you get enjoyment out of it. Because there's nothing better than you're driving down the road or driving to work and it's like to me, it's like my that's my therapy.
That's for me too. There's so many times where I get to work and I just sit in the car for an extra few minutes and listen to some tracks. I'm like, oh, that sounds so.
Yeah, or the track still has 3 minutes left, and you sit in the car.
Or I get home and I open the garage door and pull the car in the garage and shut it, and I'll shut the engine off and just listen to music for another 5 minutes. And then I get in the house and my wife's like, "Where the heck were you been? I just heard the garage door like 10 minutes ago." I'm like, I got stuck listening to music.
My girlfriend says the same thing. I'm like, "Hey, babe, I'm 10 minutes away." And she could see me pull up. I open the garage and I hear a song and I'm like, I like this song. I haven't heard it in a while. And I just sit in the garage and I'm in there another 7 or 10 minutes. And she's like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm in the garage." She doesn't even ask anymore. But Ryan.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to say we're going to wrap it up soon, but.
Okay. Yeah. So as far as an aha thing again, the RTA, there was something else that came to mind that kind of connects to that.
Yeah.
And now I've lost it.
No, you can't do that to me, Ryan.
I lost it. That's all right. I'll think of it. We'll talk about it. And maybe next time I'm on,
we'll save it for the next podcast. But thank you, Ryan, for your time. I know you're a busy guy, and hopefully we get together again and see you at the next get together. Hopefully Kevin has something going on. He said he was going to do something late summer. But
Kevin had Audio Wise in Middletown, New York. Yep.
Yeah, Middletown, New York. Weren't they in the news the other day too? Did you see that? Something happened in Middletown. Can't remember what it was now off the top of my head.
I don't watch the news, so I wouldn't know. Kevin's been a big. I met Kevin at a competition when he used to work down in Brooklyn, Car Audio. I went to a competition down there in 2019, I think.
Yeah.
And that's when I first met him. And we've stayed connected ever since. And he's been such a big help bouncing ideas off his head and helping me understand with fabrication and everything.
Yep.
He's been a great help with me too.
Yeah. Kevin's an awesome guy. The type of guy, he's just a good friend in general. Even if he wasn't into audio, you could just tell Kevin's one of them good-hearted people. Hopefully I could get him on this podcast. And I know he's busy. He's mega busy, but
he's so busy. I just visited his shop the other day, and the whole lot was full of cars.
Wow. See,
he's
that's
like
a good thing.
He's going bonkers right now. Yeah, I'm glad for him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Ryan. We're going to wrap this up. Just hang on. I'm going to wrap this up real quick. Everybody say thank you to Ryan.
Ryan's got the funk. He's got the funk. Ryan's got the funk. He's got the funk. Ryan's got the funk. He's got the funk.